Yo, what is up? It's JJ from 845, and today I am unboxing and giving a quick overview of PortKeys KeyGrip. If you haven't heard already, this is, I already opened it already and attached the hand grip, or rather the cushion. And so this thing itself is the key grip. And so what this allows you to do is hook up this grip onto a variety of cameras, including Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which is what I'm using it for, and allows it for, especially with that particular camera, Bluetooth control. So I can press record right over here. There's actually a focus wheel right here. There is a joystick and then a scroll wheel. And so you can set this little switcher right here. There's a left, middle, right, if you can hear that. And it allows you to control individual 3 parameters that you can set. So by default, it is ISO, iris, and then shutter. So, but again, you can select that in its, I would say, confusing menu as far as the control menu that is with this joystick, but otherwise it's pretty cool. The only thing that I'm having an issue right now is I do have the Tilta Nucleus Nano motor. And so what was advertised with this grip is that you can actually control the motor with this focus wheel. So if you can imagine, just like a proper cinema camera, so FS series or Canon C cinema series, is that you have the camera right here, and then there is a RE rosette over here. You attach this to the right side of the camera. You can go ahead and press record. You can focus, which is what I was excited for, but then you can also change with a switch right here. You can change the aperture, the ISO from there without having to use your own camera's controls, typically a control wheel or a touchscreen menu, in particular with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras. So let me show you real quick what my rig looks like for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, and I'll show you how this interfaces with that. And before I do so, what's included in this box right here is a pouch, so that way you can store this. There is these, I believe, 1850 or 1875 rechargeable batteries. That goes into this charger right over here, which is with a regular USB micro. You attach these batteries and it'll give you a charge. Again, the cool thing about this hand grip as advertised is that if you have that Tilta Nucleus Nano motor, you can actually power it through this hand grip. So there is a cable that I did buy, and if you can see right over here, there's a few connectors. So there's a motor connector right over here. And then there is a 4-pin LEMO for both of these that can control the motor as well as a camera. In addition, there is another USB port right over here, and that's to control the camera. So say the cable that I included, for example, would be for the Sony cameras. So that can interface, and when you press record over here, it'll go ahead and trigger that camera and press record from there. So other thing that included, as I mentioned, the recharger. There is, not so sure what this piece of pleather is. I did connect the RE rosette already to my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. I can show you what that looks like in a second, but it does include the few screws and then the hex wrench. Has the USB to micro charge cable. And it does have this thing, which I assume it's like an extender. Not really sure. Again, the documentation is kind of poor for the product. I will also say the translation, the English translation that is also kind of poor. But I assume this thing is almost like, yeah, an extender. So if you have a male, you would attach this since this is a female, and then you would attach this to the camera or to the motor or to the hand grip rather. I don't know. I also did get the cable from PortKeys. This is a 1.5 feet 3-pin LANC cable. So you go ahead and put this end to your camera, and then this USB micro again goes into that port right over there, which says remote and for the camera. So this way you can control your camera through a wire, but again, for the Blackmagic, you can actually connect this with Bluetooth. I did pay an additional $20 or $25 on top of the pre-order for this grip, and this is a 4-pin LEMO, and on the end is a USB micro. So you would plug this into the actual motor for the Tilta Nucleus Nano, and then this end will be going into the motor cable right here. So in theory, you can both power and control your Tilta Nucleus Nano or regular Nano motor with this PortKeys KeyGrip. And I mentioned the documentation. This is the KeyGrip user manual. Kind of gives you the specs, gives you the overall size, explains you know, the ports and everything like that and the buttons. I did forget to mention that there is a 0.9-inch OLED screen right over here. So if you're kind of wondering why is the screen on this side, because again, when you're operating it, you're barely going to be using or rather seeing that screen unless you're peering it from the side. But Alexa, stop timer. I'm baking bread, guys. Hold on. See, I wasn't lying, guys. There's some bread over here. So to continue where I left off of was, you guys may be wondering why this LCD screen is on the inside of the grip instead of potentially the top. Well, for one, the top there's really no space, and then two, I guess practically speaking, is that if you set your grip correctly, you would do this well ahead of time before a shoot, and so you're not going to go ahead and reassign or rather map out the functionality of this scroll wheel that's correlated to this little switch right here. Again, you have 3 settings: left, middle, and right. And by doing so, you should just know what exactly you know, the settings are taking effect. And so during shoot, you go ahead and just click this right here onto the left, and then you go ahead and adjust from there, put it to the middle, and then put it to the right. And again, that adjusts as 3. So I do see that there is no need to have this LCD screen elsewhere. But it is nice that you don't have to say connect this to a smartphone app and then change it from there. So at least you have that benefit of having the screen on the grip in itself. So coming back to the documentation that's included, the user manual, it mentions that there's a 9-way joystick. So I'll get into that a little bit later. There's a scroll wheel, there's a record button, there's a strap on the very top. There is the line ports as mentioned, blah, blah, blah. So all the features here, the RE connector as well. It mentions to you about installing the batteries. And then go ahead and choosing the controlled cameras. This 9-way joystick operation system, operation diagram rather, I would say this is definitely confusing. So if you see right here, it has, and again, I want to say the arrows are referring to up, down, left, right, and then center. So I'm not so sure why it says 9, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I think it does work diagonally. So that's the part where it's a little confusing because it's kind of sensitive, and I'll go ahead and show a demo of that later. And I mentioned there's that 3-stage lever. So again, you have right, middle, left. So also confusing again because the diagram says here from starting to your left, but I guess it's right, middle, left. I guess if you were looking at it this way, this would be right and then middle, left. But when you're operating it, you're facing the other way. So the right position is actually to the left, and then the left positions to the right. There is directions on how to upgrade the firmware, so I am excited that they're probably going to work out some kinks. Again, maybe they could change this. In my opinion, it should be the other way around. But at the moment, to my knowledge, there is no additional upgrade, so you get what it is right now. This goes over the Bluetooth connection, so if you're using, again, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, just like their BM5 Mark II monitor, which is really great, by the way, you're just going to go ahead and add a new device to your camera, and then you just enter this passcode or password from the KeyGrip that will communicate with the camera itself. And then you can delete it as well. And regarding the manual, that is pretty much the end of it. And so the rest of it is in Chinese, which just kind of goes over the same exact set of instructions that are in English here. All right, so this is my usual rig that I would have. It's kind of fitted out right now. Kind of explain real quick what the components are. In the middle already is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K version. There is the Sigma 18 to 35. I have the Tilta Nucleus Nano motor that's attached right over here. So on the left side is the small rig handle. You are able to drop in the Samsung T5 SSD drive, which is really convenient, saves some space on top. There's a hole in the top in which you can feed the USB-C cable. On the top right here is a Tilta Nucleus hand wheel. I am aware that the record button does not work with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Reason being is because the record stop trigger does not work, I think, with USB-C. You can tell me wrong, but anyways, I have it here because with single operating the camera, I can go ahead and just focus right here. And I'm typically holding the camera like this, and I go ahead and record stop from here. And then I do have an Anton battery that's powering everything via this Lampart battery plate. And then again, because that this is here, I have the PortKeys BM5II with the Bluetooth module, so which is really nice. And I'll go ahead and boot this thing up. Now that it's just turned on, I'm going to go ahead and connect the key grip onto the right side. Again, it does come with this RE rosette connector, which is great. I already installed it on the right side of the camera, which you can see right over here. The main issue that I do have is I want to be able to connect, or rather control, the focus gear on the Tilta Nucleus Nano. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that right now before I install this. So I'm going to give you a quick demo now that the battery is also installed, because I kind of forgot that for a second. You go ahead and press the record button, press and hold it to turn it on. It boots up. One thing I actually don't even know is that if this thing will actually work with the monitor, because again, I'm already using this on the Bluetooth. So if you can see this right here, I'm trying to see if I can connect both devices via Bluetooth onto the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. So again, it's already connected through their monitor. So right now it does see that it shows here that on the key grip, it does read that the Pocket camera is available. But again, their joystick is just a little weird because you can see that I'm not able to actually change the setting, even though, and then exiting is actually even confusing as well. So I'm pressing the mode switch, which is how you would enter the menu in itself, and it doesn't go back, which is interesting. And you would think that the joystick would also go back. And if you can see right here, pressing up actually changes the selector. You can see that, which is kind of counterintuitive because you would think that you would just press left and right. Let's see, if I press up, and then at this point, you would think that pressing down would actually select it, and it doesn't. But let's see if I can go ahead and exit from here. Okay, and that works. So again, if I mentioned to you, when you're trying to scroll via the menu, naturally you would think that if you're looking at the menu right over here, this would be up and then down, left, right. Your joystick again gives you that option, but if I press up, which again is facing this way, this is up, down, left, right, the menu actually goes back. So if you press up, that actually goes back in the menu. So, and again, you would think that, see, I'm having a hard time right now selecting via the menu, but it turns out the joystick doesn't work that way. You actually have to use a scroll wheel to go down the menu. So you can see that. And if I wanted to select it, I'll go ahead and press down on the control wheel, pressing menu, pressing the button, and it does work. And you can see here I'm selecting Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera Bluetooth. I'm going to press it, and then there's that little arrow. I don't know if you can see that. So again, I scrolled through, I highlighted that, and I'm pressing down on it, and then the menu changes, which I assume it's now selected. And now in order to go back from this menu, you press up on the joystick, and it does exit. So again, I'm going to go back to, let's see, with Bluetooth, checking the version, I'm going to just say no for now. And let's go to device. I'm trying to connect here, so I'm assuming that's correct. It reads it at least. So now I'm having a hard time selecting how to get out of here. And so pressing down. Okay, pressing down works, but it works so slowly. Okay, so let's just see if I can exit. Okay, so pressing menu now, and it does say that's connected here. Before I attach this onto the side, I'm just going to double check on the camera and see if that's working, because so far my monitor is not acting up. This hasn't happened before. There it is. So as mentioned, one nice thing about the monitor is that it'll actually mirror the system on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which is really cool. So let's see here. So let's just see. So far I have the ISO that's over here, and now I do have it set on the key grip that if I put it in the middle, I'm controlling ISO. So far it doesn't work. And maybe it's because the camera in itself is already connected to the Bluetooth monitor, the BM5II. So that's interesting. So I'm going to do a quick test right now and actually just disconnect the Bluetooth module. Okay. So disconnecting that, if you can see right here, the icon is no longer blue. That means the Bluetooth is disconnected. But I'm going to go ahead and check and see now on the back of the Pocket Cinema camera if it's hard to see. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can just, there we go. So that way you can see with a setup, you go to Bluetooth. And it says your key grip wants to connect to his camera. So let's just see. There it is. So now I'm going to enter. See, that failed. So I think we're going to do this again. Here we go. So 2. Okay. So if you can see that right now, the back of it says the key grip is currently connected to his camera. And it goes from there. So my assumption is that you unfortunately will have to choose between a monitor, at least their monitor that can mirror it, or the key grip. And so for me, it kind of sucks. But I guess the caveat is that you can still use a monitor, which is fine because this is a HDMI monitor. But the biggest caveat is that you can't actually use the Bluetooth functionality of this monitor if you want to be able to use the PortKeys KeyGrip. So hopefully this is something that can be worked out in firmware, that they can all talk together, or maybe it is a limitation with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. So we'll see. But let me give you a quick demo now that I have the key grip in my hand and then the monitor here, that we can just see that the image is being affected. So I can change right now the ISO, currently it as 800. And if I go ahead and scroll it, if you can see right there, it is moving. So 800, 1000, 1250, and then the image is just getting brighter or rather blown out. You can see that. So currently it is at 10,000 ISO, and I'm just going to come back down to 400, and you'll see that the monitor is changing, which is cool. You can go ahead and set the iris, so currently it's at 1.7. I can go ahead and increase that, and you'll see that the monitor is reflecting that change, which is cool. So currently right now it's the max at 16, or rather F16. I'll open that again. So this is cool in the sense that you can hold it, you can change your settings, again, just like a proper cinema camera. Like I'm used to the FS5 camera, in which I'm able to change all of that on the hand grip. So I do like that functionality. But again, let's go over a quick demo and just seeing how I can get this to talk to the Tilta motor. So I have that here, and this is already connected to the motor. So you can see right here, the motor is powered with that number. And if I go ahead and just move the control wheel, you'll see that it moves. But the problem that I'm having is that I'm already meeting my max and my min really quickly, and the motor is barely moving. So one workaround that I was thinking was that, oh, I need to calibrate the motor first in order for this to work properly onto the port key grip, the PortKeys KeyGrip. So I'm gonna do that right now with the hand wheel attached. So I'm gonna turn this thing on. Now that I turn the hand grip on, again, this thing communicates through its motor separately. But now when that's on, when I go ahead and turn the focus wheel, the motor just stops moving. You can see that. But when I do turn this, if you can see, the motor is now moving with the hand when the hand grip is connected. You can see that. So the focus wheel works perfectly fine, but again, that's for using this. And ideally, I want to be able to use this. So I thought, oh, okay, how about I just turn this thing off now that the motor is calibrated? So go ahead and power this thing down. So now the hand grip is powered down, so this has no effect. And now the focus wheel still doesn't work. So I figured, oh, let me do a power cycle. So I'm gonna remove the cable that's on here from the key grip to the motor and then reattach it. So it's on right now. I move this. See how it moves? But I would say that's barely moving for me to do anything with that movement. So sorry for all the wires, but and that's it. I'm already hitting my minimum and maximum easily. I'm out of battery on my Anton battery. That's the reason why that's not working. So regardless, this thing is supposed to be powering. So this is new as well for me. The screen is flashing saying replace battery, a new battery please. I actually just charged the battery, so I'm not so sure why now that I'm getting this issue. So I know that they did send instructions and that you're not supposed to leave the batteries in, but I did charge them before shooting this video. And I would say it's only been about 35, 40 minutes. So that's kind of concerning for me as well, that I'm already getting a notice that I need to change, or rather switch the batteries already. So far, this has been a very lukewarm experience. Again, the build quality, I didn't even talk about it, but it's great and everything. The fact that it includes with a little cushion, which is cool, and it fits really nicely in my hand. And it does work with a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera in that it can control the things that I set it to. But unfortunately, controlling the nano motor does not work for me. Again, you just saw that it works very, very slow, minimum, maximum. And then this is new to me with having this battery issue. So hopefully PortKeys, you got some answers for me regarding those two main issues. The battery situation that's just dying right now, and then with the motor. Comments or questions, please leave them below. The product is new to me. Seems like PortKeys has been very responsive on their Facebook group, so I'll be posting this video there as well to get some answers. Cheers.